Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio, it's time for Family Business Radio. Showcasing outstanding family businesses and the advisors who assist them.
Good afternoon. You're listening to another episode of Family Business Radio. Today we have three wonderful guests. We have Alina Lee with Your Ad Attorney LLC, Chasidy Ashley with TBK Wellness Spa, Angie Williams with BeLocal, and yours truly, as your host, Anthony Chen. So kind of kicking us off with the show, Alina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for coming on. So kind of share with us your story as to what got you into law and what got you into focusing into business law in particular.
I've been practicing law for almost 10 years now. And I got into the practice of law because my parents were small business owners. My mom owned a Chinese restaurant, a Japanese restaurant. My dad owned a liquor store and a laundromat. And so growing up, I was around small family businesses, and I really wanted to go back and help the people like my parents who, frankly didn't have the best legal representation and had trouble finding a good attorney.
So kind of share with us, with the name kind of somewhat giving it away, Your Ad Attorney. So kind of share with us, the audience, what does it mean to be an attorney that kind of specializes with marketing and branding?
Sure. And I certainly do a lot of marketing compliance work, but I also have a few other DBAs. So I also work under your tech attorney and your chief legal officer. And my clients tend to be in four areas: marketing, obviously, the marketing industry, tech industry, retail, and consulting. And I'm their go-to attorney for all of their business legal needs. So I basically serve as their outside general counsel on an as-needed basis. I have regular phone calls with my clients, or they can call me up or send me a text message or an email whenever they have, legal needs. And then I help them stay proactively compliant by regularly checking in on them, asking, doing gap analysis with them. So I can proactively keep them out of legal trouble. And really, it's about protecting their money and their investment and their livelihood.
Well, talking about keeping them out of trouble and keeping protecting their livelihood, just looking at the tech side of things in the tech business, what are kind of the biggest legal issues you see that's the elephant in the room that maybe they're unaware about?
Well, there's a lot of areas. Usually I always tell, like I said, I am like a full, I have a very broad legal practice, and I serve as general counsel. So to over 30 small businesses, and I have about 4 large Fortune 2000 companies that I also provide legal advice to. And oh gosh, what was the question again?
What are some of the biggest
the big issues? Well, first of all, I always say follow the money. That's always step number one. Let's button down the legal risks related to the money coming into your business, because that's how you pay your bills and how you pay your people. And then let's button down the money going out of your business. And so the money coming in is the revenue. So a lot of my clients, they are generally selling services rather than goods, like tangible goods. And so they usually have a contract. And so I help them create custom contracts that fully protect them and address all of their legal needs, but are also hopefully customer friendly and is something that's easy for people to sign. That's always step number one, is looking at how the money's coming in and making sure we have legal protections for that money. And then the next piece is looking at the money going out. Usually that's going to be your workforce or your employees and your independent contractors, helping my clients sort through, creating offer letter templates, creating employee handbooks, helping them with their employee policies, helping them when they start to have disagreements with their employees or having issues with their employees. And then same thing on the independent contractor side, except you actually have contracts, right? You need to have a written contract with every single independent contractor. Otherwise, like the default is your independent contractor actually owns all the intellectual property that they create, and you only get a license. If you want to have ownership of the work that they create, the only way to do that is to have a contract with them that says specifically that you own all of the work product that they create. A lot of people don't realize that. It's the opposite for employees. You don't have to have that. Any work that an employee creates within the scope of their job description is automatically owned by the company, but it's the opposite for independent contractors. So making sure you're covered there. Like a lot of my clients that are in the marketing or tech industries, this is a huge problem because say you hire a coder internationally, which is very common now, like in India, and they're writing custom code for you for your software application. Turns out you don't have a contract with them. You're just paying them. You're just wiring them money periodically. They have like a very valid claim that they actually own the code that they created. Same thing for my clients on the marketing side. It's very common for them to like hire freelance photographers or freelance logo designers, freelance videographers. They don't have solid contracts with those people. They can't then sell that work to their own clients because they don't own it.
Mm. So is that kind of well, that was going to lead to the next question in terms of the marketing world. Do you find that for business owners in that space something that's common for them to kind of trip up on or just not be aware about?
Well, first of all, I think like the foundation for like smaller businesses is protecting your company name and your logo. And a lot of people don't realize this. You actually do get certain free trademark protections. So your brand name and your logo are protected by trademark law. You actually do get free trademark protections under US law. You can also register your trademarks with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, which is a government entity, and you can get additional protections on top of what you get for free. And you can also work with an attorney to make sure that your company name and logo don't cause really expensive lawsuits because you accidentally copied somebody else's name. You just didn't realize it a lot of the time. And so we do that legal research to make sure, first of all, like what is your legal risk of getting sued by other people? And then also how likely is it that you can get your trademark protected with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office so you can prevent other people from using your name and logo? That's foundational for every single business. The other stuff I do with marketing laws is a little bit more fancy. Usually it's only kind of like those really big companies that, are making 10 million plus a year are really going to hire me for the like fancy marketing law work that I do, like reviewing TV ads, reviewing digital ads, reviewing large email marketing campaigns, structuring refer a friend programs, structuring incentive programs, structuring loyalty programs. I also structure scholarship programs. Those types of things, like usually you're not going to hire a lawyer to unless, enough people basically see your stuff. And I usually tell people like a good benchmark is like 2,000. So if you think more than 2,000 people are going to see it, it probably makes sense to hire a lawyer. But if less than 2,000 people are going to see it and your business is making less than $10 million a year, like people probably aren't going to sue you. So your legal risk is lower.
Mm-hmm. So when you say about 2,000 people being seeing it, is just in general whether, I guess kind of the elephant in the room would be social media if they have a very large following. And I'm just going to throw a number out there and say, well, let's say they exceed 2,000 followers. Would that apply?
Yes. If you have a large social media presence, it's probably a good idea to work with an attorney. A lot of people don't realize there's the Federal Trade Commission, which regulates federal marketing laws, is really cracking down on social media right now, especially influencers, but also brands themselves when it comes to misleading marketing. And the requirements for how you're marketing and what you're saying on social media is just as stringent or more stringent than other traditional marketing that you would do. And people don't think so. They're like, oh, it's social media, everybody's on here, so it's not as regulated. Actually, it's like even more dangerous in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you're doing big promotions such as like, buy one, get one free, you're doing limited time offers, like for a limited time offer, get 30% off of, I don't know, facials, right? You got a wellness spa there, and you're expecting like, especially if you're expecting like thousands of people to redeem the offer, or you're expecting, like I said, over 2,000 people to really see it and engage with it, then, probably a good idea to have a quick chat with me. And it's not that if I'm just like reviewing a few social media posts, it's not going to be that expensive. My hourly rate's $4.25 an hour. And, usually if it's not a complicated marketing campaign, like 1 or 2 hours is going to be plenty. And as we work together, you'll start to learn what you can and can't say or how you should say certain things. So the idea is like, I want to give you the tools to succeed. So like you need me less, or you grow to such a degree that like, you are willing to like invest a little bit more because you have more class action risk.
Mm-hmm. When it kind of shifting gears in terms of the industry itself, we've touched a little bit on the tech and the marketing. You mentioned you also work with the service delivering professionals. I would imagine on the consulting side. What are kind of the legal aspects or issues that they're facing?
Well, with my consulting clients, a lot of times it's protecting their intellectual property, right? Like that's what they're selling their ideas, and that's what people are buying. They're buying their ideas. So, especially for clients who are my consulting clients who are like reusing certain work products. So, for example, they offer like training in certain areas. Like they may have a presentation or they may create workbooks, and they'll want to make sure they're protecting that material so it's not getting, so like people don't steal it basically, or they have protections if somebody does try to steal their work. So I talk through some of those types of things and help them come up with strategies for how to protect their intellectual property. A lot of times too, it's about like coming up with payment structures to adequately protect the money that's coming in. So it's things like helping them figure out like, how do you determine how creditworthy your client is? Perhaps requiring a deposit or requiring a retainer or requiring like some sort of piecemeal prepayment. And I think there's like a lot of different ways that you can be flexible to meet your client's needs while still protecting yourself financially and not accidentally digging yourself into a big hole.
Well, that leads into the next question in terms of someone having some kind of an idea or think they have created something new. I mean, how would they go about in terms of beginning the process of protecting that?
Well, there's all sorts of, right? Like there's all different types of and categories of intellectual property. So it depends on what the idea is, but I can help you figure out the best protections. My law firm does offer full intellectual property counseling support. So, I'm just going from most expensive to the least expensive to protect here. Patents, right? There are, in general, like there's several different types of patents. For most of the business that we're talking about here, it's going to be like, probably like design type patents are probably going to be the most common. And, I can help to determine, usually, like I said, with the trademark analysis, it's kind of similar. You want to figure out what other patents are similar that already exist, so you're not accidentally like spending a bunch of money on something that somebody else has already invented. And then once you determine like, oh, okay, this really is like a novel idea, then, you can invest in getting it patented, which is a pretty long process. It takes several years. And helping you understand the cost of doing that and other ways that you can protect your idea perhaps while you're like basically trying to get the money and whether it even makes sense to invest all of that money in a patent. Then the next level is the trademarks, right? We talked about that. So that's usually going to be your brand name and your logo and your tagline. And then there's copyright protections, which protects photos and words. So things like photos, videos, like speeches, books, poems, music is protected by copyright law. So if that's your whatever you've come up with, copyright law. And again, you get free copyright law protections. You can register your copyright. You have to register it in order to sue somebody. But if you're not planning to sue anyone, you can just hold off on registering your copyright. So don't get tricked by those other lawyers out there who will try to sell you that service. You don't actually need it. And then publicity rights, which is like usually, the rights that you have to your name and your likeness and the sound of your voice and things like that identify you as a person. So people can't just without your permission, for example, put your face on a billboard and say you support whatever product, or put you on a TV ad, or put you, on a big sign in their store without your permission. They need to get your permission, and, you should get paid for that.
Mm-hmm. So for the small businesses that are getting started, I know with kind of the new year, a lot of people are kind of checking off their New Year's resolution and going out to start their new business or taking on a path in terms of marketing strategies and campaigns. What is kind of the couple marketing tips you would recommend for those that are starting out?
Well, when you're starting out, you probably don't have a very big budget, right? So, you'll want to do the things that are easy and cheap. The easiest is obviously social media and email marketing, and you can do that with a very low budget. Email marketing is very effective. It takes a lot of time to build a email list, but once you have it, that is worth a lot of money. Now, you already know those people are interested in your services and products. So you're you're marketing to the right people, quote unquote. And then as far as social media, that's your network, right? Those are your friends and family and people who know you. They're also more likely to buy from you than complete strangers. So it makes sense to invest in those channels. Once you have some more money, I think it's really worthwhile to invest in good branding. Right? Like Chasidy, I didn't even realize it was a spa, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, it's such a nice spa type atmosphere. She's clearly invested a little bit in some of her branding, but hiring a professional, and, it can be a little expensive, $3,000 to $7,000 for a typical branding package. But that really is the look and feel of your business. How do you want people to feel when they see your work? Or they come and see you. A lot of what we do, especially in the service industry, is how we make people feel about themselves. And so branding helps you translate how you want people to feel about working with you into, photos and colors and fonts and stuff like that. It's not my area. I just know it's really important. But I think those are really the building blocks. And then from there, you can hire marketing professionals to help with things like digital ad campaigns and radio ads, or even when you get bigger, TV ads and billboards.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, so for our listeners, how best can they find you, their ad and tech and marketing attorney?
Well, my email address is my name, Alina, ALINA, at Your Ad Attorney. That's YourAdAttorney.com. And my website is right there. It's YourAdAttorney.com. And you can go directly onto my website in the upper right button. You can click to schedule a call with me, and you can automatically schedule a 15-minute free Zoom call with me. You just want to chat about some random legal questions, or you just want to grab coffee and network. Would love to meet folks.
Great. Thank you, Alina.
Thank you.
Right. So our next guest coming up, speaking of spa and having that atmosphere, Chasidy, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Right. So can I share with us a little your background, sir? What got you into the wellness and spa and the massage field?
Well, one, I've always enjoyed massages. And my boys was a stay-at-home mom for the longest, and my boys were getting older, and I needed to find something else to do. Once the kids leave, it's like you're sitting at home, you can only clean so much.
Yes.
So I decided to just go to school to become a massage therapist. And I just had a huge interest in it, like the health and wellness industry behind it, because I just appreciated like how I felt after massage. And I'm like, well, if I feel this great, maybe I can do something to help somebody else feel great.
Mm-hmm. Can you share with us also what was the event, or was it a series of events, or one major event that kind of made you go, you know what? Not only am I going to go into the massage field, I'm going to go and open my own spa.
Yes, I worked for the chain massage industry, and I worked for the big chains, and they just weren't giving customers the personalized service that I knew that I wanted to. They, only offer like 50-minute services, and you can't really give them that warm feeling. Like I try and treat everybody like family when they come to my spa, and you just can't do that. You don't have enough time because everything's on a timer once you're working for somebody else. So I was like, I don't want to no longer be a part of the problem. I want to have a solution. And so that's what made me think like, you know what, I think I can do this. It was a bold, scary move, but I just knew what I wanted to do. I just knew that I had a vision, and I love helping people. I'm a people person, and I really just wanted to bring something different to the spa industry.
How long was that journey from you working in I guess, the chain spa, and then you realizing, you know what, I got to become the solution?
Oh, so Jay, this month made 13 years, me being a massage practitioner. And 7 years now, 7 years ago, I was just like, you know what, I got to get something together. So everything has just been being planned all of this time. And it took a year for me to get the space built out. So a total of 7 years. It took that long to get everything the way that I wanted to.
Well, it takes time to kind of really, chase after your dreams. So speaking of chasing after dreams and now becoming a business owner, what do you find kind of being the most difficult thing as a business owner?
Oh, as a business owner, people don't really know that I'm here yet. And just, my location, because I was I was at a salon loft. I was in a one room, and then I created a bigger space. And just people finding me. I think that's the most difficult thing, like getting the word out there, letting people know that I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Well, on top of that, as you're kind of growing your business and going into the field as a business owner, what is the best advice you've ever received in your position?
The best advice is to always be patient with everybody that you come across. Always just show patience. Because you never know what somebody's going through. You never know how you may meet them later on down the road. And just always be kind to people, no matter what walks of life. If somebody can't afford your service, or if they can afford your service, always be patient and kind to people. That's the best advice that I've gotten from as far as business.
Well, you certainly exude patience going through 13 years, I think it was, in the field, and then 7 years to really create and perfect the right facility the way you want it, rather than kind of jumping in without a plan and kind of rushing things through.
Correct.
So then kind of leads up in terms of as a business owner now, what do you find as kind of the most challenging thing? Because you mentioned one of it is being known out in public. What other challenges do you find running now your own spa?
One of the biggest challenges was having a great credit score and nobody still would lend you money because they felt you were too new. Oh. That was a huge challenge. Mm-hmm. And to just have to put all of your eggs in one basket to make sure that you have your dream and your vision come alive, and just to basically believe in yourself and know that you can do it. But when you go to the banks and you got your business plan, you have everything that you think that you need, and they still just, tell you, well, no, your business is too new, or no, you haven't been doing this. And even at that time, it was 12 years. I was like, I got 12 years in the industry. I have everything, great credit score. It meant nothing. They were just like, well, no, get some more, money underneath your belt. It's just like, well, how much more do you need in order for you to open this business? So you just have to put all your eggs in one basket, and you just have to take the risk and believe in yourself.
I think kind of the running joke or meme with a lot of business owners starting out is when I initially came to a banker with nothing and I needed a financing, they wouldn't give me a time of day. But then when I hit it big, then they're throwing money at me when I really don't need it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That is a truth. That's true. That is true. They really do like, oh, you have a business? Oh, you're making deposits? And it's just like, well, now I don't need you.
Well, then kind of going into the next step of those who are listening and really understanding the amount of patience and planning you had to put in force to create the perfect facility. What advice would you give to other entrepreneurs that are listening that are kind of on the fence and also planning? And of course, we're still in the new year. This is being recorded in January. What would you give advice to them?
I would just say, make sure that you plan everything thoroughly and also plan ahead and think about like incidentals and things that you don't expect to come up. Mm-hmm. Make sure you think about just give yourself the worst case scenario and plan ahead for that. Like if you're thinking like my first month, I'm not going to have any clients, plan for that. Mm-hmm. Make sure you set money aside for it. Make sure that you have everything that you think that you won't need. Make sure that you have it because it's always the opposite. Like, you're thinking like, oh, I got this great space and people are going to be flooded and they're going to come in. And it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't. It's like it takes hard work. You have to go out there. You have to get the people. You have to bring them back in and you have to be consistent. So I would say plan ahead, stay consistent, and make sure that you just deliver a great product consistently.
Well, I don't want to put you completely on the spot because I know a little bit more about your background and how you got started right in the middle of 2020 with COVID going on and kind of your background. Can you share with us kind of with the audience what it was like for you to really pivot and being able to still persist chasing after your dreams?
Well, I was at home before anyone with COVID, before COVID hit, and I had an accident and I was off work for a long time, but I still was just trying to make sure that I was planning and getting everything together with the business. So it was just a difficult task, just still trying to stay focused. So even with my background in terms of massage, like prenatal, postpartum, fertility massage, all of these modalities that I had, and I'm specializing in massage services for women, I had to put all of that on hold in order for me to get better, get myself back up to par, and then get my space built out. So it's just like, it was just a rocky road. It just seemed like everything in 2020, COVID, the accident, everything that could have been thrown at me, it was in that year. But I still came out on the other side, just a lot of prayer and a lot of endurance and a lot of faith.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for sharing. So kind of share with us a little bit more on the massage therapy. So for those who are not in the know, they think, we're just getting, feel a little better, relax a little bit in terms of, I guess, soreness. But there's a whole other field that I didn't know about, as you mentioned, kind of the prenatal massage and there's sports massage, sports therapy. Can you share with us a little audience all the scopes that you provide?
Okay, yes. Fertility massage, women who are trying to have a baby, having a hard time conceiving. I specialize in fertility massage. A lot of people don't even know that it's a thing, but there are a lot of modalities that you can do in order for you to help a woman to have better chances of conceiving. I did my own case studies with the fertility, and 3 out of the 4 women became pregnant. I also specialize in prenatal for women who are pregnant and anywhere from after your first trimester all the way up until the day you can actually be in labor and get a massage. A lot of people don't know that, how therapeutic it is and how it helps with your labor, how it helps increase circulation in the body and how it keeps you relaxed. A lot of women don't have a difficult pregnancy if they're getting massages the whole time. And then even postpartum, doing massages after the pregnancy. That's probably one of the most important things as well, because it helps you with relaxation. It helps you to create a better bond with you and the baby. And number one, it's just like, and it can help decrease postpartum depression in women. Mm-hmm. So that's another modality. And then also too, I specialize in infant and pediatric massage as well. I can either instruct or massage, show moms or dads or families, how to massage their babies. And then also too, we offer sports massage, deep tissue massage, other therapeutic modalities that help. If you have injuries, or if you're working out, or if you're athletic like you, Anthony, you can get a massage pre and post before like any sporting events that you have coming up. So all of these things, it's just like there's so many avenues of massage. And we at TBK Wellness Spa, we create a specific massage that fits your needs. So any ailments that you're having, like low back pain, if a frozen shoulder, tennis elbow. So these are all different modalities that we do and we specialize in, because massage, I tell people, it's not a luxury, it's a therapeutic need.
So for those who are active or kind of getting old and breaking down, we should probably come to you before we completely fall apart. Is that what you're telling me? For sure. Well, before we let it go, I do know you also have a little something special regarding to your, I think it's infrared sauna. Can you share with the audience what that is about?
The far infrared sauna, my most coveted piece. I love that sauna because one, it is great for muscle soreness. It's a great addition to after receiving a massage, because the far infrared sauna is far, near, and mid. The far infrared penetrates the skin, the initial part of your skin. Then the mid, it penetrates the muscles where the inflammation is in the body. And then the infrared, the far, near, and mid, the middle, it detoxes your body from the inside out. So you're getting this broad spectrum of infrared, and it's the only patented infrared sauna by sunlight that increases the body core 3 degrees. So you're getting this great detox. And it helps with depression. It helps with Alzheimer's. I said muscle soreness. There's one for the circulatory system, anti-aging, and pain relief. So even when Anthony, he came over and he got in that sauna afterwards, it was nothing that you expect. It's not the dry heat, and you're not, just sweating profusely when you walk in. It takes time. And because the body is heating itself up from the inside out, it's a better detox for you, and it's better for your system. And you also sleep good at night.
Good, great. I can attest to that. So for our listeners who either want to experience some relaxation, massage for women's health, or they're active and they want to kind of work out some aches and sores, how can they best find you?
The best way to find me is at www.tbkwellness.com, or you can contact us directly at 678-587-5019, or through Instagram at TBK Wellness _spa.
Great. Thank you, Chasidy.
Thank you, Anthony.
All right. For our next guest, we have Angie Williams with BeLocal. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great. So kind of share with us a little of your background. What got you into print, magazine, and marketing?
Well, it's kind of a long journey, but I came out of corporate America. So I've been in corporate America my whole adult life. And then in 2005, I was in Maine and had this vision of a coffee shop, and art. And then 2012 rolled around and I was about ready to just bail out of corporate America. So I was selling pottery, which I create down in Atlantic Beach over in Beaufort, North Carolina. And there just happened to be a little shop that said for lease on the building. And so I jumped at the opportunity that I wanted to open up my own business and get out of corporate America. So December 8th of 2012, I went back to corporate America and left. And then I packed up my house and I had networked and got my Facebook page up and running and Instagram and just all those things, and sourced out to some different counties with their arts and stuff like that. And I left North Carolina at my house with about 12 or 13 artists that wanted to be a part of my gallery. So it was on New Year's Eve. I unpacked in the rain in a small little suite apartment and then got my gallery up and running in 12 days. Mm-hmm. So that was the beginning of my entrepreneurship. So I had my gallery for a couple of years, but I worked day and night, 14-hour days for 2 years. And within that time, my family changed a little bit. My kids are here. So that was like a 10-hour journey, and they could never come visit me and I could never leave my shop. And, and so family changed a little bit. And then, there was a publication that came around that area at the time, and it was targeting affluent communities and that type of stuff. And I knew the man that owned that particular magazine. And so I went to him one day and I just said, hey, I'd love to just write the art corner section, and he's like, oh, I'd love for you to do that. He goes, I can't pay you. I said, that's fine. I don't really want payment. I love to write. And so it kind of started out with that. And so I began really enjoying the publication that he had. And then one day I was just like, you know what? I think I'm going to have my own magazine. And so I closed my shop and I started my own publication.
So talking a little bit about the publication, I mean, you mentioned kind of targeting someone to the affluent. What is that their sole niche and focus, or is there something special about this particular publication that made you gravitate towards them?
Yes. So the company, it's called N2 Company down in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we target affluent communities, and that's how they started the company back in 2004. So when you are targeting certain communities and the affluent communities, they have like the best word of mouth, the best social environments, and the businesses really want to be a part of being in front of the affluent communities. So with all of our publications, we have a bunch of other publications as well. And most of those are community-based publications, which I really gravitate towards because I love, part of retail is what I love is, being in front of people and talking to people and getting to know them a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I loved about the art gallery is you really get to know the people that are coming in, and they come in to see you just because, they love you, and they want to know how you're doing it. Not because they're buying anything, but because they really just want to see you. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I really loved about the affluent communities is because you become a part of that neighborhood. And they reach out to you for things. They invite you to parties, and they just want you to be a part of what they're a part of. And you just become part of their communities, and they become part of your family. Like I just received a box of chocolates from one of the neighbors back in my community from 5 years ago that sent me a box of chocolates for Christmas.
Great. Well, it's really building a whole family around the magazine and kind of bringing everyone in together. Yeah, absolutely. It's wonderful. And the publication that I do now is called BeLocal Alpharetta Milton. Mm-hmm. And it's just another publication that our company does. But this one really targets that new mover. And when I was growing up, we moved every 4 years. I thought my dad was running from the law, actually, but he wasn't. He was in sales. So we moved every 4 years. So we were always starting over and trying to figure out where to go and what businesses to trust and that type of stuff. And with my career as well in corporate America, I started over every 4 years because my businesses kept getting acquired by another company. So my whole life, I've been starting over every 4 or 5 years. So when the opportunity came with our company to start this BeLocal publication, I really just kind of jumped on it because I'm very passionate about trying to help that entrepreneur, because I was an entrepreneur with a gallery, but also to have that resident find, the best things to do and the best businesses to use within that community. Because as you know, as you've moved before, you don't know which business to go to, which one is the best dentist and that kind of stuff. And so we were always trying to try to figure it out every time we moved to a different state. So even moving from, like if you're in Cumming and you move down to Roswell, you still have to start everything over, And so even if you move locally, you're still, restarting yourself and your family. So that's targeting and being more specific. Only 2 new movers. Is there an idea behind that concept, or the idea of only targeting new movers coming into the residence?
Yeah, so the whole thing, and a lot of marketing isn't done to new movers. The welcome wagon doesn't really exist anymore. And so targeting a new mover for a business is really ideal because that new mover is actually trying to build their habits, right? They're trying to figure out which coffee shop to go to now. we're not going to go to Starbucks, and get them out of their own little four corners, right? So to get them to build new habits, whether it is a slice of pizza, where they're going to go for a date night and that type of stuff. But for a business is looking for new blood, so to speak. And so what we do is we target those new movers every single month. And so for a business's point of view, let's just take a dentist, for example. So you've lived here for quite a while and you have your dentist already, but a new mover doesn't have a dentist yet, and they don't have word of mouth from anybody yet because they don't know anybody. And so they are trying to, find that. But that business is like, oh my goodness, they don't know that I'm better than the guy down the street, and they don't know anything else here. I want to be in front of that new mover before they even get here, right? And I want to be able to stand out a little bit differently so that they'll start coming to me. That new mover is also spending like so much money when they're first moving here, because they're getting their house all set up. They're getting new hardwoods, or taking out the carpet, or they're putting in a new pool, just, everything. So they are spending so much money when they're first getting here as well. And so that business wants to be on the forefront of that money spend as well. So it's good for both. It's good for the residents, to find the businesses that the locals trust already. And it's really great for the businesses to get in front of these new movers to help their business grow.
Which then kind of leads to the next question for business owners, like how do you guys find or get the information to be able to distribute to these new movers that are coming in?
Oh, good question. So we distribute in a few different ways. So as a new mover, when you're moving here, you're either buying a house or you're renting, right? And so you usually use a realtor. So we kind of do like a before you've moved, during your move, and after you've moved as far as distribution. So before you move, you have a realtor, and that realtor is the only guy that you trust. So what we do is we pull the data from the deeded records. And so every month we do this. And so we can find out who just moved into Alpharetta and Milton. So what we do is we pull that information and we mail a hard copy to some of the more exclusive residents. So that realtor is basically saying, hey, Joe, you know what? I know Angie. I've heard about her through Instagram or whatever, and she's sourced this publication. And this publication is just a reference guide, and it's just filled with knowledge from the residents that already lived here. So he's handing this new resident this publication or the online version of it and saying, you know what? She's interviewed a lot of these businesses that are advertising in here. The rest of the content comes from the locals that have been living here for a really long time. So get started with that. And, it saves them a couple of years of trying to figure it out. So after they've moved here, then what we do is we mail a hard copy to that, those exclusive homeowners. But what we also do is we put that business's sponsored ad on the Facebook and Instagram of every single new mover moving in every month into Alpharetta Milton. It crosses over into Johns Creek a little bit as well. So we want to get them in front of this particular publication every way that we can.
So that was going to lead to the next question in terms of the publication. Like, what kind of content and where does the content come from for the readers to still kind of be engaged? Because it sounds like it's really just a phone book for them to kind of reference to of service they want to be able to use, but what else is also within the book itself?
So the content comes from the locals that live here. So back in 2012, I was still in Raleigh during COVID. So back then, COVID just hit, and none of us could come out and play, right? We were all hunkered down in our houses. Nobody was walking the streets. And I just started my BeLocal publication in Raleigh. So I had my residential publication, but then I also wanted to start BeLocal again because I'm so passionate about moving. So when COVID hit, I'm like, oh my gosh, holy cow, there's not even a person walking around Raleigh. It's just me and my photographer. There's not going to be anybody in the photos, So we were able to go to print within 3 months during a pandemic in Raleigh. So my life changed again, and I needed to move back here to Alpharetta. And so, and going back to that other story, in Raleigh, when I had my HOA publication, I had half of my advertisers stay in my HOA publication, but they also wanted to be in the BeLocal publication. So when you're talking about businesses that aren't even getting business right now because we're in COVID, but yet they wanted to spend money in both magazines, that just tells you a little bit about how powerful our publications really are to the community. So when I came down here, I only had the Raleigh publication, BeLocal publication. So the content part of it comes from me walking around town. And let me just say that maybe I saw you and your wife holding hands. So I would just talk to you. I'm from the Midwest. We talk a lot. We're friendly. I would just say, hey, excuse me, but you guys look like you're having a lot of fun. Where are you guys headed? And you would say, we're going to go to, Crust Pizza. Like, oh my, what do you love about the pizza there? So you will tell me, and then I would just say, do you mind if I take a photo of you? So my name is Angie. I own this magazine called BeLocal, and it's to help new residents moving in. And they'll be like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. So the content really comes from me inquiring, walking around town, but also putting things out on Instagram and Facebook and just saying, hey, you guys, tell me the best cup of coffee. Where do you guys go and why do you go there? So that's where all the content comes from.
Wow, so it's almost like old-fashioned, like on-the-beat journalism for the community, kind of finding out what's new and what's happening in the area that people who are new, just as you mentioned, no clue about.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, when I'm talking to all these people, they were like wanting to see the publication and how do I get a copy of it? And so when you're showing them the publication, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know. Where is that? I've never seen that. And I've lived here for so many years. And so everybody wants a copy of the publication, which is great because they can just have the online digital one that we do as well.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing. So how can our listeners, whether they are business want to be more engaged and kind of go after this very niche target of new movers coming in, or the listeners who want to learn a little bit more about their community, how can they best find you?
Oh, sure. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can just go BeLocal, and that's BeLocal, BeLocal Alpharetta and Milton. And you can also just email me if you want to. It's Angie.Williams at the letter N, the number 2, PUB.com. or Angie.Williams at BeLocalPub.com. And those are the best ways to get a hold of me. And also, if you guys have any references that you'd like to do about, one of the favorite places that you like to go or hiking trails or something like that, please send them on. That helps the new residents, find something else to do.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Right. Well, before we bring out our guests back, based on kind of the conversation today, we have a lot of new entrepreneurs who either left corporate or knowing that they can serve a lot better, leaving the chain of companies that they've been working with and really planning and plotting out their eventual opening of their own business or being motivated and seeing as they're growing up their parents running their business. So kind of keeping with the theme of the season of New Year's resolution, and almost everyone kind of coincidentally opening up your new business in the middle of COVID and thriving still. So let's work with kind of that theme of those who are still on the fence and seeing when is the right time, quote unquote, the right time for me to really step out there and grow my business and take that risk. If you could turn back the hands of time and kind of either talk to your younger self or someone that is in a very similar position where you were a couple years back before making that New Year's resolution, or whether it's in December or opening it in January, what would be that major advice you would say, do this first before looking at anything else? So the question is, if you can turn back the hands of time, looking back to your younger self before you continue down this path of opening your business or talking to someone that's on that same path, what would be the first advice you would give to that person? Do this first before anything else. As we give our guests here some time to think about it, a little legalese here. So this show is sponsored and brought to you by yours truly, myself, Anthony Chen, with Lighthouse Financial Network, securities and advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates, Inc., RAA, member FINRA SIPC. RIA is separately owned, and all other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of RIA. The main office address here is 575 Broad Hollow Road in Melville, New York, 11747. You can best reach me at 631-465-9090, extension 5075, or my email, which is just my full name, Anthony Chen, Chen, at lfnllc.com. So turning back to our guests, again, the question is if we can kind of going with the theme, taking that step, being an entrepreneur, whether deciding in December or January, or just, again, going with the season. We can start with Alina. What would be that one advice you would give to your younger self or to that person that's on that fence?
I think it would be go for it. If you feel like that's what's going to bring you joy and is going to fill up your soul, you only have one life. We got to do what fills us up from the inside. And then secondly, if I could give myself a piece of advice, it would be to remember to have fun. I think that, you get so wrapped up in starting your business and planning and doing like everything A to Z that sometimes you forget like why you did it, and that like this is supposed to be like fun. Like it's supposed to fill us up. And otherwise it's just way too hard to start your own business. Like let somebody else pay you a steady salary. But if you're passionate about something and you're chasing this passion or you're chasing this dream, like make sure that you nurture that part of yourself and your soul.
Great. Thank you. And Chasidy?
I would have to say, if I was turn back the hands of time, I would say get somebody who is just as passionate as you, and you guys enter the business together. Just get somebody that can match your energy and match exactly, like has the vision. They believe in the product that you have, and they have the same goal in mind. And if I had to tell my younger self something, it would be, the moment you knew that the industry wasn't treating you right, get out.
It sounds like someone stated it a little too long. Well, we're glad that you got out and you are now living your dream, and it sounds like you're having a whole lot of fun.
I am.
All right. And Angie?
So I would say if you're really feeling the itch, just scratch it, because I felt the itch for years, and my aunt kept saying, not yet, not yet, not yet. And that went from 2005 to 2012 when I just said, I'm doing it. And so the other piece of advice I would say is, you may not be financially stable, but be financially stable enough that you can put yourself through a couple of years if you have to, going through hard times, and try to find somebody that can help you in your business. So like I did mine all solo for 2 years by myself. You are definitely married to your business. So just make sure that you have the time to give to your business what it deserves. But definitely if you have the passion, go for it. You only live once, like we've just said. And, it makes you happy and it fills your soul. And in no other way, in a regular job that's 9 to 5 than this does, to see your dream, to fulfill it, to go to bed at night knowing that you did something good for yourself, but for somebody else with something that you love to do.
Well, thank you. Thank you
You're
for sharing.
welcome.
So now it's for a little segment called Anthony's Take, now with kind of the perspective on financial planning, and now continuing with the season of living dreams and having New Year's resolution. I know for a lot of people, they're thinking of, I'm going to get my house in order, whether it's physical health, financial health, mental health, and all that. Kind of the stereotype with financial planning can be very intimidating, and people don't see it as fun. Because they kind of see the field as coming, telling them, you shouldn't spend this because you got to save here, you got to retire here. Well, another perspective to look towards that is when you're opening or creating a financial plan, it has to be something that fulfills one's goal, whether it's opening a business or in their definition of fun, pouring their passions in terms of their quote unquote retirement lives into a nonprofit. So at the end of the day, when having that retirement or financial planning conversation, it's not just about hitting a check mark of, hit an arbitrary age and then I'll retire. It's what can these financial resources do for myself, my community, and my family? Those are the big questions. And if the answers all revolve around building, having fun, and living life to the fullest, as Alina mentioned, you only get to live once, can't take the money with you. Ironically, here I'm the financial guy telling my clients to go and spend their money. Yes, I am, because again, it's a portfolio is one thing, but you can't take the portfolio with you. So that's a little bit of my take. Have fun and go and be able to live your life to the fullest. And that's today's episode. Thank you for listening in to Family Business Radio.